All right. Hello, hello. Thank you all for joining. I know it is very late in the afternoon on another busy day in Vegas, so I appreciate you sticking around. My name is Amanda Sherman. I'm a product manager in cloud security services at IBM Security, joined alongside Sriniti Mulapenta. He is our chief architect and distinguished engineer, also in IBM Security. And today we are going to go over a quick overview and then actually walk through a demo of how we are empowering DevOps to be secure by design. Now, just real quick before I get started, because I know some of you may not be familiar with IBM Security, I wanted to share just a quick few fun facts. So, IBM Security is the largest enterprise cybersecurity provider, leader in multiple security market segments by top industry analysts, over 3,700 patents, over 20 security acquisitions, and from a managed security service provider standpoint, we monitor over 60 billion security events per day. So again, just wanted to level set on our security business as a whole. Now, cloud security. Cloud security is challenging. Cloud security it can be complex, right? If you go back just a year or two ago, you can actually find reports that show security as a #1 barrier for organizations when it comes to cloud adoption. Now, I think we're to a point where it's not necessarily a barrier, right? The advantages the cloud can bring, the speed, the agility, the cost savings, they really speak for themselves. So it's no longer a question of if organizations move to the cloud, but when, okay? But that doesn't mean that security is not still a top concern, especially as more and more rigor and focus is put on securing and protecting critical data, as the threat landscape continues to evolve, as compliance and regulatory requirements continue to grow, security is still a top concern, okay? And it's a top concern for many reasons. At a core, organizations are faced with an entirely new set of challenges when it comes to security that they just weren't faced with on premise, okay? To start, organizations are often operating in a hybrid environment now, right? They've started moving workloads to cloud, but they still have a good portion of workloads on premise. So from a security standpoint, that starts to introduce a lot of disparate security controls between your on-prem and hybrid environments. They're management systems that don't integrate, they're not communicating, so you lack that overall kind of centralized visibility. Okay, cloud service providers in the mix. Cloud service providers are great, right? But they add to that complexity because now security is a shared responsibility between you and them. I think a lot of you are more than likely familiar with the shared responsibility model, but what are you responsible for? What are they responsible for? They bring native controls sometimes, so the lines are just a little blurred and it adds to that complexity. Lastly is skills, right? Security talent itself, guys, hard to find. And cloud really just furthers that trend because it introduces a lot of new skill sets, a lot of new tools. Just look around at this expo hall and see how many actual cloud security vendors are here. That's more decisions that organizations have to make. So just new architectures to familiarize with. A lot of new things that just add to the complexity, okay? Now, they're still faced with their day-to-day challenges. Don't get me wrong, just because we're moving to cloud doesn't mean that the basics go away. They still have to worry about protecting critical data, managing compliance in the cloud, securing their network, getting compliance visibility. All of those things are still more than relevant, but now they're faced with this entirely new set of challenges. And today, what we want to focus on is one of those new challenges, which is how do I ensure security is being applied as I move my workloads to cloud? Now, why is that important? Why is it different now? Why wasn't this such a pressing concern when we were just dealing with on-premise? If you look at traditional workload provisioning versus cloud workload provisioning, you'll see a few key differences that are leading to this challenge. So, traditionally speaking, you're looking at longer deployments, more custom, larger, more infrequent, think like quarterly updates and that kind of thing, right? Where you had a lot of lead time, okay, ultimately. Whereas now in cloud, things are happening in a much more agile approach. They're more iterative, they're happening as needed, they're smaller, they're more standardized deployments. Things are happening fast, okay? Why are they happening fast? That's row number 3 right there, and that is so, so important, especially in the context of what we're going to talk about today. From a traditional standpoint, deployments were mostly manual, right? Infrastructure deployment, manual. Security controls deployment, manual. We're going to be talking about managed security services, also primarily manual. Now, don't get me wrong, there was scripting done, right, to automate some pieces, especially the more repetitive tasks. But primarily, we're looking at a manual deployment. Whereas now with cloud, things are automated, right? Organizations are really starting to make use of automation and orchestration tools to capitalize on the speed to market gain that cloud can bring. That is a huge advantage for organizations as they move to the cloud, okay? So from a security standpoint, what does that mean, though? We're using these tools to deploy our workloads quickly, but if security can't follow suit, that means nothing to us, right? We're not going to go out and secure workloads that aren't secure, or deploy workloads that aren't secure. So we view this challenge through 2 key personas. The first is Bob. Everybody loves Bob. He's in the CISO organization. The things that keep him up at night are your typical CISO things. Security and compliance posture. How do I stay out of the news? How am I going to avoid being that next data breach, right? Now that we have this DevOps organization in place in our organization and we are deploying workloads more quickly, how do I ensure that workloads aren't being deployed that aren't secure or that don't have the required corporate policy applied? On the flip side, we have Josh. Josh is he represents our DevOps organization in general, the infrastructure architects, kind of all of that. The Joshes of the world are super excited because they've been approved to use these automation and orchestration tools. They can deploy things more quickly, but they know they need to make sure their workloads are secure, okay? But keep in mind that his main concern is speed. He wants to be able to deploy things quickly. So from a security standpoint, he needs a security solution that has automation around it, right? And then because traditionally, Josh is not a security expert, he needs something that is relatively frictionless for him, something that fits into his day-to-day, doesn't require him to learn an entirely new skill set, right? It needs to be something that can be quickly implemented. Now, Bob and Josh, they ultimately want the same thing, right? They have the same end goal, but they just have different sets of objectives. So what about a solution that can satisfy both sets of those objectives? Something that allows you to still provision your workloads quickly, but also ensure that a base set of security policy gets applied as that workload is spun up. And hey, it's done so in a fashion that you don't have to be a security expert to do it because it's baked right into those orchestration and automation workflows and tools that you are already using and well familiar with using. So that's what our solution is really all about. It's about not only through your orchestration workflows deploying your workload and your infrastructure components, but also deploying a base set of security controls. And oh, hey, we're also enabling managed security services all through a single touch point, all through that orchestration platform. All right, so our solution, 3 key objectives. Obviously, number 1, automate security provisioning. Number 2, support business innovation. Don't let security be that lagging factor for you anymore. Make sure that as you're deploying workloads, you have the ability to deploy a base set of security policies at workload inception. And then lastly is secure by design, and that is so important. Traditionally speaking, security was kind of an afterthought, right? It happened in the test phase. Whereas now, organizations are starting to shift left, move security earlier on in the development cycle, and that spans beyond just application testing, right? That follows suit for your infrastructure as well. What are your compliance requirements from an architecture standpoint? What is that base set of security controls that need to be applied as you're spinning your workloads up? So earlier on in the development cycle, we're defining those policies, right? We're ensuring that those policies are applied in our automation templates that we're using. That way, later on, when we get further in the development cycle, when we're in the deploy and operate phase, we don't have to worry about security because we know, hey, when we click that workload template, security is going to be applied. All right, so with that, I'm actually going to turn it over to Srini. He's going to walk you through a demo of our Secure by Design at Cloud Speed solution.
Thank you, Amanda. Hello, my name is Srini. I'll be the imaginary CTO for today for Acme Air company. Bob and Josh report to me, and they brought the same problems that Amanda stated to me. So I partnered with IBM to create a solution for Acme Air. Acme Air is a company, we support travel applications, and we deploy a certain pattern of a travel application in a repeated fashion. Let us run through a scenario. Acme Air sold an app for a travel company, and they want to deploy a secure application for the travel company. The DevOps team said they need some servers in AWS for the web application, and they need a database server in their private data center on a VMware instance. The security team gave a laundry list of security things that need to apply. They want a network security appliance, which does the WAF, which does the intrusion prevention. They want a host security to enable east-west security, as well as host protection. They also want to benchmark through CIS controls and provide continuous compliance. They also want to do vulnerability assessment and vulnerability patching. A lot of things, right? So Josh automatically got scared, and he said, wow, so many things. This guy will slow down my process. So Srini, you need to help me on this. So what I did is I partnered with IBM to come out with a solution to satisfy both Josh and Bob's requirement to bring secure by design at cloud speed. What we have done is we used an IBM Orchestration and automation engine which predefined blueprints. This is similar to the concept of what Andy Jesse talked about, the AWS control tower with predefined blueprints. So we have an automation engine to go take us through those things. And also, to not slow down the speed of Josh, we have enabled the patterns at cloud speed. We have applied the base security compliance and compliance controls, and we enable managed services on top of it. Let's see this in action. First, a quick demo about the orchestrator. On the orchestrator, we have blueprints. These blueprints are based out of standard patterns. These patterns do not have, the highlighted patterns do not have any security embedded in that. There are other standard patterns. This is one instance at a time, where we have base security enabled on those things and security services enabled at the same time. And then we also have composite pattern or a blueprint, which we can enable a multi-tier application at the same time. For this scenario, we will use the composite application to deploy. So when I go and deploy the composite application, I can provide the application information, and also based on the contract duration, I can put the lease time. So after the contract is expired, the machines will be auto-destructed for that, destroyed for that particular client. I can go and put up the web instances, and I provide the information about the web instances, about where they should be and how many instances I'd require. Automatically take the web application from my Git repo, define the database, and remember this particular database is on the client side. This is in the private data center. So I provide the information about the database, pull the schema from the Git repo as well, and I provide an instance of a load balancer. I could do it on behind an existing load balancer or create a new one. And this is the most important thing. Remember, the security requirements are, I need a network security, I need host protection, I need vulnerability management, I need compliance controls to be met. So we applied the security controls to the Amazon native using the IAM aspects, using GuardDuty for threat monitoring, and using Inspector for vulnerability analysis for all the instances that are deployed on the AWS side. For the host protection on all of the servers, we use Trend Micro. We use Chef Inspect for compliance controls, monitoring all the CIS benchmarks that are deployed on this particular server. And for the host analysis on the private data center, we use Qualys Agent to tap into the vulnerability analysis. All of the logging is being aggregated into Curator, so we can actually correlate the logging and then provide actionable intelligence from that. If there are any vulnerabilities discovered through the inspector or Qualys, that information will be sent to BigFix, and BigFix will do the vulnerability patching on this. All of these things, the security technology management, as well as the threat monitoring, is enabled through IBM Security Services. So let's take how it goes. And oh, by the way, this is not limited to security only. You can also deploy IT operations on top of it. So you can enable IT operations for up-down monitoring through Nagios or any kind of backup that you require. So once I go and hit the submit button, it goes and deploys the workload and provides a sequential operations between the application server and the databases on successful deployment, what it means is it has enabled the workload, it has enabled the security technologies, it has enabled the base security controls on this security technologies, thereby securing the workload. The shell is secured even before loading the data, and managed services are enabled on that. Let's quickly walk through the managed services. The managed services here is provided through IBM Security Services, and this is the Virtual Security Operations Center. Now this becomes your single pane of glass. All the security technologies and the threat monitoring is enabled behind the single pane of glass. So you can come into one panel, you can get access about your devices information, you can get access about the telemetry that's going through that, you can get information about your tickets. They could be problem tickets, change tickets, or security incident tickets. So everything is accessed through one place. All the logs are aggregated into IBM Curator, and then you can get correlation done on this. You can get actionable intelligence from this. This actionable intelligence is sent to XPS engine of the Virtual Security Operations Center. The correlation analysis happens there, and then actionable intelligence is notified to the clients. All the log storage is provided for you for your compliance requirements. So if you want to do log analysis and log searches, that is available too. Now let's take a look at what has happened in terms of the security technology enablement. On the AWS native security technologies, we have applied CloudTrail. Thereby, we are tracking the activity of the servers. We have applied IAM policies on those servers. So again, leveraging AWS native technology. We applied guard duty. So we are monitoring for any kind of threats happening on this particular applications through guard duty. And we have also applied inspector for finding any vulnerabilities on these machines. So this is all about AWS native to meet the security controls. And outside of AWS native, to provide host protection, we've enabled Trend Micro, and Trend Micro provides a series of functions, including malware defense, web reputation, firewalling, log inspection, etc. And when we applied the base controls or the base security policy on that particular firewall, it went and applied the policy on the server right when we deployed the node at on the infrastructure layer. For the system, on the database system that is on the private data center, we analyzed it through Qualys. We identified any vulnerabilities that are available through Qualys. So we know what patches need to be applied. We pass that information through BigFix. BigFix now identifies what patches need to be applied. It will schedule the patches and does the auto patching as part of the automation process. And we've also enabled the CIS benchmarks on the servers. So through Compliance Inspect, as you see there, we've identified all the nodes, inspected all the nodes, and then observed that all the nodes are compliant. So what we have finally done is we've been able to meet what Josh requires, that they wanted all the workloads to be deployed at cloud speed. Don't delay my process because you have to embed security on top of it. We've also satisfied Bob, because Bob wanted security to be deployed on all this workload. So we have enabled security automation. Through automation, we have enabled security technologies on that. We've deployed the base controls and the base policies on that workload. Thereby, it's a secure workload. So thereby, we have satisfied both Josh, not delaying any of his processes, and satisfied Bob by applying all the security technologies and security controls so he can meet his corporate and regulatory compliance requirements, thereby making a secure workload and making both Bob and Josh happy about this. Right? So overall, that's our integrated solution about integrated and security and compliance at cloud speed. And I'll hand it over to Amanda. Thank you very much.
All right, so just to close out, I know today our solution and our focus was really on kind of that last phase, that optimized piece of the overall journey to cloud, right? But as I mentioned in the beginning, our breadth of security capabilities as an organization span across your entire cloud journey. If you are just starting out and you need assistance kind of defining your cloud transformation strategy or your roadmap, any type of maturity assessments, we can assist you with that. As you start to move your workloads to cloud and you need help with management and that kind of thing, we talked about single pane of glass visibility. That's going to be big as you start moving workloads to cloud. We can help you. We can help you along your entire journey to cloud. okay? All right, so with that, I will leave you with please come visit us at booth 2909. Myself and Srini will be there. We have other security representatives is there as well. The demo that Srini actually went through, we have the live setup, the live demo running in the booth. So if you're interested in seeing that, please come by and talk with us. Talk with us just about your cloud challenges. We'll be happy to chat with you. So again, thank you all for joining.